know what, you ain't gotta say nothing now. Because you're lucky we're on school grounds. Because when I catch you outside of this place, I promise you I'm going to beat the life out of you. Hey guys, it's the girl Taylor Petty Gang. Okay. So, today we're going to be doing a story time. And this story time's going to be about the time I got charged with assault. Before we get into it, like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications if you'd like to know when I post a new video. And let's get into it. This story time takes place of my sophomore year of high school. It was in the end of winter, like February, March, April era, okay? To start this story time, let's go visit sophomore year. And I had this boyfriend who, keep in mind, I did not know the kid. He was new to my school that year. And I had no idea who he was. I met him, talked to him one time, and was just like, oh, he's kind of cute. I like him. And then when he was like, oh, I like you too. Like, let's date. I was like, okay. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. Because you don't really know a person. Anyways, so we started dating, and it was like really strange because I didn't know him. I hung out with him. I'd only ever talked to him in school. We exchanged Snapchats and texted, but I never really hung out with him. So I didn't know how he actually was, and it was just kind of like a bad idea all around. But we started dating. And then how we would talk is we didn't have any classes together, so we would see each other in the hallways before school. I would get there early to go hang out with him and his friends in the cafeteria and just stuff like that. And then after school, I lied to my grandparents, and I would have them take me over to my friend's house. And I don't remember what I named the girl, but like I told them it's this girl from school, yada, yada, yada. It was really strange that they were dropping me off at this person's house every single day after school because they never met or saw the girl in their life. So for them to even do that, I was like really surprised, but like it worked, and it was just like whatever. I was like going to his house all the time, and then let's say this one random week in like the middle of March, I go over there, and it was like a really weird week, right? Like they were like, Marcos is gonna be his name, okay? Marcos was acting really funny all of a sudden. We had been dating for probably, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks at this point, and like everything had been fine up to this point, but this particular week I just noticed, like it was like the middle of the weekend, I just noticed he'd been acting really strange, really distant, and really weird. He wasn't texting me all the time, anything. And usually he asked me to come over to his house, but for some reason, like I had been asking him all week to come over, and he was like, oh, I can't, I'm busy, I got this going on and this going on and this. And I'm like, okay, whatever, fine. But he had told me like you can come over this Wednesday. So I get there, and like he's just acting like he's just been acting strange, and he's still acting strange. Like he didn't want to hug me or do anything. Like I was just like, okay, I guess. So I brought it to his attention, me being me, because like I'm not afraid of conflict. I'm a very like, I guess you could say, confrontational person. But like really, it was just like I never had like a serious boyfriend, and I was taking this serious as like any 15-year-old girl would that actually likes a boy. So I'm like, I want this to be a real relationship, whatever. And I'm just like, hey Marcos, can we talk? Like I feel like you're acting strange. I just want to know what's going on. Are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. Okay, like, okay, so what's up? He's like, nothing. Like, what's wrong with you? Do you have something like that's bothering you? And I'm like, no, I just feel like you haven't really been talking to me much. And then he's like, you're here, aren't you? Like, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. never mind. Just like in my head, I'm like, I'll just drop it because like I don't want him to actually get mad at me for me thinking there's something wrong, which is really stupid, by the way. Like, girls, let me tell you, if you feel like something's off, most of the time you're probably right. So trust your intuition, trust that gut feeling you have, and if something feels off, don't ever be afraid to bring it to somebody's attention. Like, if they get mad at you for like you expressing your feelings, then F them, okay? Back to the story. So we're just chilling as the day goes by, whatever. It's probably like 6 o'clock at this point. And like we had been sitting there. And I saw him like whip out his phone. And like I see him on Snapchat and I recognize this girl's name. And let's call her Jamie. So I see Jamie's name on his Snapchat. And I knew who Jamie was. I'd known her since middle school. She wasn't in my grade, but she was a year younger than me, right? And I was like, oh, hey, that's Jamie. And then he's just like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, whatever. And then, like, we continue to watch the movie that we're watching. I'm sitting, like, right here. He's sitting right here. You know, any girl is kind of like, peep. So I'm looking at his phone, and I just see him, like, he replayed Jamie's story. Like, he went back to find Jamie's story, replayed it, and then swiped up with a bunch of heart eye emojis right in front of me.
Excuse me?
Okay. So I pretend like I don't see it at first because I'm like, I could snap, but then I won't catch you. So I'm going to pretend like I didn't see anything. So the rest of the night goes on. I get picked up. I go home. The next day, school comes around. And I knew that him and Jamie had a class together. So, and I had a class all the way on the other side of the school. Like, all the way on the other side of school. That day we had a sub, and I just kind of like snuck out the door early to go find him in his class. And I walk up, and then like the door that they had, most of the doors in my school were like solid doors. But for some reason, this door of this classroom was a solid door, and then there was like a big like glass window. So I could see like almost the entire class through it. And I walked up, peeked in, and he didn't see me, but I realized that him and Jamie sit like right next to each other. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the bell's about to ring, so kids are getting their stuff, their backpacks, all that stuff, and they're getting ready to line up at the door. Well, he gets up, starts coming towards the door, but he didn't see me. He stops, turns around, and grabs this girl's hand and starts holding it. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there like, excuse me? Okay. So, I'm just peeking. And, like, at this point, if they were to look at the door, they would see me. Because I'm not being sneaky about it at all. Like, not at all. And I'm just, like, in the window, like, hello? All these other people are standing looking at me like, girl, what are you in the window for? You look crazy. And the bell rings, and kids start piling out the door. It wasn't until he was like 3 feet away from the door that he saw me, and he was like his face, her face. And she just kept looking at him like, And the whole time this is going on, like, they're still holding hands. Until finally, like, I was just looking at him like, are you serious right now? Are you serious? Then I break eye contact with him because he just got that face on like, oh. So I just look at her like, and she like drops his hand and like does not stick around for anything else. Like she darts her little self the opposite way and just like goes down the stairs. And I look at him and I'm like, excuse me? And he just starts walking. And I'm mad pressed.
Like, I'm mad pressed.
I don't think you guys understand exactly how upset I was. I was just like, so you just really tried to like, and then walk away? No. So me being the crazy psycho bitch I am, I start chasing after him in the hallway, and I catch up to him and I'm like, excuse me. I'm like yelling. I'm like, excuse me, who the do you think you are? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like looking around like this is embarrassing. And I'm like, I don't care. If you're embarrassed, I don't care. You shouldn't have been holding that hand. Like, I don't care. And I'm like, what do you have to say to for yourself? What excuse do you have? And at this point, I'm thinking, like, most normal people would have just been like, okay, I'm done with you. I don't care. I'm breaking up with you. Like, if I didn't like somebody that I was with, I'd have been like, okay, I don't like you anymore. Let's break up. Even though it probably is going to hurt their feelings, it's like, it was very obvious at that point. I felt like he didn't like me. But then he tried to reassure me. He's like, no, I'm sorry. We're just friends. And I'm like, what friend do you just sit there and hold hands with out of nowhere? And then, like, he's just like, no, like, seriously, she was just going through a rough time. So I was like, I gave her a hug and all this stuff. And I'm like, so the rest of the day goes by and I'm still mad. I'm still highly upset. But I didn't stay after school and talk to him. Didn't care. I was like, I don't want to see you. Don't want to talk to you. I'll figure out like what I'm going to do about this tomorrow. Because right now I'm so emotional. I'm so mad that like I don't know what to do. And then, you know, most girls, they want to know like, so is it just on you or does this little girl know too about me? And I knew Jamie, like I said, I've known that little girl since middle school, okay? And we weren't ever the best of friends, but we hung around the same circles. And she always, like, ever since she was in, like, 6th grade, she was a year younger than me and him. So I was in 7th grade and she was in 6th grade. She had, like, a reputation, you know? She was, if you know what I mean, okay? Okay. So she had that reputation. And I was like, I wouldn't be surprised, but I felt like she knew, and I felt like me and her were cool enough for me to go talk to her. So I would plan on talking to her like the next day in school, but that night I had went to McDonald's close by my house, and I had seen her there with a couple of her friends, and I'm like, yo, Jamie. And she's like, yeah, Taylor, like, what's up? And I'm like, so what's with you and Marcos? And she just kind of stopped, looked at me, and she's like, nothing. And I'm like, nothing? What do you mean? Like, you guys are holding hands today. What do you mean, nothing? She's like, no, we're just friends. He talks about you to me all the time. He's, like, so in love with you and this and that. He would never do anything like that. We literally have been friends since he came to the school earlier in the year. And he's, like, my only friend at the school. And I'm like, okay. And I knew she had been having a tough time this year because there had been a lot of rumors going around about her and nobody talked to her anymore. So I was like, okay, I guess he's new. He doesn't really know your reputation. You don't have anyone to talk to. I guess cool, fine, and dandy. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just like trying to make sure because you guys seemed really, really, really friendly. And I just didn't know if you knew that we were together or what. And like, I'm not mad at you for it. I just want you to understand that like me and him are together and there's boundaries. I don't like all that touching and like weird stuff, okay? And she's like, yeah, no, I totally understand. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, okay, we're cool then. And she's like, yeah, no doubt. Like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to like disrespect you in any way, shape, or form. And I was like, okay, fine. So I go back home. I'm thinking, case closed. Like, they're just friends. Nothing has happened other than they were holding hands. I'm like, that's not that weird, but it's still, like, a little weird. It still bothered me, but I was like, at least it wasn't like, oh, they, like, I caught them making out or something. So I was just like, okay, fine. Probably another week or so goes by, and I had been going to Marco's house every day after school, like my daily routine. And he had this uncle that would like talk to me all the time and stuff, and like he had left with, like, I had went over there and a bunch of his friends were there, and he had left with his friends to go get food, and he wanted to know if I wanted anything. There wasn't enough room in the car, and his uncle came back and told me that like he was downstairs with the food, whatever, and I was like, okay. So I go downstairs, and he's like being like, he's just weird. Like, I didn't realize at the time, but he had been back for like 20 minutes, and like the whole time I was at his house by myself for like an hour, and I was getting mad. I was texting him, I was calling him. I'm like, where are you? Like, Taco Bell's down the street. Why is it taking you so long? And he had been downstairs and didn't ever come upstairs and tell me he was back. Nothing. So I was kind of like, why are you being all weird? But when I go downstairs, he's on the phone, and he's like acting strange, and then he's like, okay, bye, love you, I gotta go. And then he hangs up. And I'm like, who is that? And he's like, none of your business. Like, he got mad for me asking, and I'm like, okay then. I'm just asking who you're talking to. Like, I'm sorry. So, we eat. Everything's cool. He went upstairs. He had left his phone downstairs, and he forgot he gave me the password. So I, being a little nosy little girl, feeling like something's off, go through it, because I'm like, he's acting really strange. And when I went through his recent call messages, he had Jamie's name at the top of the list. And I'm like, oh, so he was talking to Jamie last. Okay. And then I'm like, there was no text messages, though. Like, he had deleted any text messages they had between him on his phone. And I'm like, one thing boys are never smart about doing is deleting Snap messages, okay? They forget. So I go in his Snap, find Jamie's name, and I go through their chat. And then, like, he's taking a minute in the bathroom. It's been, like, 5 minutes. So I'm like, oh, he must be, doing his business. So I text Jamie because I'm going through their chat, and, like, I can't find much. I'm like, hey, babe, what's up? And she's like, oh, my gosh, has Taylor left yet? Like, I miss you. I'm waiting for you to call me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm, oh, word? So I sent her a video of me, and I'm like, oh, so you waiting for me to leave? I bet I'm on my way to your house, okay? And I left his phone, like, I screenshotted the messages and whatever, and I left his phone on the table. He's still in the bathroom, and I had called my grandma and was like, okay, it's time for me to go. Can you come pick me up? I'm ready to come home. She like, yeah. So I go home, and I went outside to wait. I didn't get a call, text, nothing from him that night at all. And he knew I was super mad because I'm guessing he had talked to Jamie, and Jamie said something to him. He didn't check to make sure I made it home, nothing. So I saw him next day at school, and I went off, okay? I went off. I walk up to him as soon as I see him, and I'm like, you, like, oh, you dirty, you trifling, you nasty. I'm like, you know that little girl be having everybody up in that, okay? And you want to fuck with that over all of this? You tweaking, okay? You tweaking. And he's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm like, save it. Save it, okay? He's like, no, it was a mistake. Like, I just, like, he couldn't even spit out the words. And then he basically later told me that it was, like, he was just trying to get with her and whatever. And I'm like, oh, word. So you're just trying to get with her while you with me? He's like, she doesn't mean anything, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, she doesn't? And, like, I'm trying to keep it cool, but low-key, I'm hurt. And I was just like, I can't believe, like, but I had made up my mind because I'm like, look, girl, we talked about this. Like, I came to you and told you about how I was feeling about you guys, and I have known you for how many years, and you lied straight to my face. You lied straight to my face and told me there was nothing going on, none of that. And she's like she couldn't speak either. Like, she's like distraught. Like, she didn't know what to do. And I'm like, you know what? You ain't gotta say nothing now. Because you're lucky we're on school grounds. Because when I catch you outside of this place, I promise you I'm going to beat the life out of you. And she looking around like, and runs back. Like, we're in the cafeteria. She runs back to Marcos and is like, Marcos, he was trying to kill me. And I'm like, you damn right. Okay, you damn right. And days continue to go by, and I'm scheming whole time. I'm like, I'm gonna get her. So I've got people on speed dial, like, girl, boy, you better get her here, get her here. And every time I had planned to get her somewhere so I could pop up, shorty was like too scared. Like, she knew I was planning to get her, so she wasn't really going anywhere other than to Marco's house, because during this time, it had probably been like another week or so. During this time, they had gotten together. So now they're dating. Post it all on their Snap stories. And I'm like, this is mad embarrassing. Like, how does this little girl take my man? And then, how are you about to be my friend and lie to my face? Like, you're mad disrespectful. So, me and my neighbor concoct a plan to get her to my neighborhood. Her and my neighbor were like cool or whatever, and I'm like, so tell her to come here. And then I had seen two people this same day that I was cool with at the time, and I'm like, yo, I'm about to fight this girl. Like, come video, record the stuff. Like, I'm not playing around no more. Because, like, okay, at this point in time, I wasn't even as mad anymore, but I had talked so much, like, about me fighting her that, like, everyone knew it was a thing. Like, so many people knew it was happening, and if I didn't fight her, I felt like people were gonna be like, oh, you scary. I don't know why I thought that. Like, that's so stupid. Don't let other people, like, tell you you're scary because you don't fight somebody. That's, one, not worth it at the end of the day, and two, that I know I could have beat in a heartbeat. Because, you guys, I haven't told you all this yet, but, like, the girl is small. Like, I'm a taller girl. Like, I'm, like, 5'6.5", almost 5'7", right? This little girl weighs, like, probably not even, like 90 pounds. And she's 4'11".
4'11", y'all.
So, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I knew I could have whooped her without any trouble at all. I knew it. But I was like, people not gonna call me scary because I just talked a lot as a kid, and like I was always that girl that, like, I'm gonna beat her, I'm gonna kill her, this and that. And I never did anything. So I felt like because I was always saying stuff and nothing ever happened, I felt like this was the time something needed to happen. Because if it didn't happen, people were gonna be like, oh, she not about it. She don't talk, like, she talk all that stuff, but she not about none of it. So I was like, not this time. This time is for real. I'm not playing with you. I'm still kind of mad, but like I wasn't as mad anymore. So we lure her to the place, and then like her and my neighbor are sitting there chilling, doing their thing, like whatever. And I come from the back side, because it was like this little square bench thing in my neighborhood around this pond. It was like in the center of the neighborhood, and it was surrounded by pine trees, so you couldn't really see. But like I had told my neighbor, bring her to this spot. So I'm hiding like off in the distance somewhere, and when I finally hear the girl like they're both on the square bench, I'm like, there's nowhere for her to run, because the only way for her to go is through me. Like, she can't get off from the sides and whatever, so she can only come towards me. There's nowhere for her to run. So I like am hiding behind this pine tree, probably like 20 yards away, and then I'm like, it's time. And like I don't know how, but like it was originally just me and my neighbor and 2 other people that I told to video record, and out of nowhere there was like 6 other kids that showed up. So there's like a stampede of freaking high schoolers walking around like the little bench area, and like I don't know where they came from, don't know, but they were all there to watch. So I'm like I don't even care at this point. I like run from the tree. I'm like, let's go. I'm the first one out. Everyone else is following behind me, and I run up there and I'm like, what's up? It's like you was talking all that, like you was trying to steal my man, you was on that, you was sneaky, you was disrespectful, I'm talking all of that, but what you on now? And she's stuck, like, and she looks at my neighbor like, girl, you just set me up. Like, you damn right she set you up, okay? Get over it, look at me. And I'm like, so what's up? What's up? What you on? And she's like, we're not fighting. We're not fighting. And I looked at it and I said,
Yes, we are.
and she's like, no, we're not. No, we're not. Like, she would not want to fight me. I kept getting closer to her. I'm walking. I'm all in her face and her girl. And she's sitting still. Like, she's still sitting down. And I'm like, get up. She's like, no. I'm like, get up. She said, no. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you one more time.
Get the up.
And she's like, and at that point I had it, because I'm like, I know I did not just waste all this time, all this effort. Like, this had been a 3-hour process, okay? And I was like, I know I just didn't do all of this for you not to even fight. Like, I was like, no, you getting whooped today. I don't care. You getting whooped today. And I was just like, I knew she wasn't going to get up. And she just wasn't. So I turned and signaled to, like, the person I told to record. I'm like, go ahead. Like, let's get it cracking. Like, I don't care. And then, so she's still sitting there like, I'm not getting up. I'm not going to fight you. Like, this is stupid. You're mad. Whatever. And I'm like, you damn right I'm mad. And I was like, get up. And she said no. So I was like,
Boom.
I just smacked her like real hard, and she grabbed her face, and then she just starts like holding it, and I'm like, I just went nuts. Like, I went nuts. Like, I was like punching her like, all on the ground. She was on the ground. She was wearing white jeans, y'all, and it was literally the beginning of April, okay? And so, like in Minnesota, y'all know, there's still, like, snow sometimes in the beginning of April. But it's not much. But it's all, like, that extra leftover snow that's super muddy. So she's wearing white jeans and she's on the ground. And I literally grab her by one of her legs. And, like, I'm, like, hitting her. And she kicked me with the other leg in my thigh. And I got so mad. So I grabbed that leg and I dragged her. And when she got up, she had a whole, like, big mud stain on the back of her pants. And I was like, and I'm still, like, hitting her, doing all that stuff. And then I had this one friend that was there. And she's just, like, standing there. She's being, like, she was always a hype man. And she was like, yeah, get her, get her, get her. And for some reason, she just, like, instantly just, like, kicks her. And I'm like, for what? And she had a bloody lip, a bloody nose, and then, like, all this stuff was going on. But she never hit me. Not once. Not one time did she hit me, okay? And that becomes important. So she doesn't hit me. And finally, I get done because I'm like, this is boring. Like, a boring fight. And me and my friends dip. She calls her mom, and, like, her mom calls the police, and the police end up showing up to my friend's house and to come and get me. And they put me in the back of the squad car, cuffed me, and brought me back to my grandma's house. And basically told me in front of both my grandparents that they were going to charge me with 5th-degree assault. And I'm like, what? For a fight? And then they're like, well, did she hit you back? No. Like, and they're like, well, then that's assault. Well, And that, like, I was like,
What?
So basically, I got charged with assault. I had a court date. I went to court. I got put on like monetary supervision probation, which is like the probation with the parent. Had to do some community service hours and whatever. And yeah, that was the time that I got charged with assault.